Right, let's confirm that we are online. Great, I can hear myself. Let's bring the music. All right, let's go. I've been revisiting that new ES6 model system in Babylon, and in fact, let me show where did I have it. Okay, so I had this branch where I experimented before with transition to that system, and I told you before that previously when I tried it didn't work well. In fact, this approach generated even bigger package compared to when we used regular Babylon.js imports. So in the version 9.8.0, I believe, they did something about it and it became better, and I just updated version here, resynced, and I actually started to winning some space, because before transitioning on this system produced a bundle that is 1 megabyte bigger compared to older system. Now it produces a bundle that's smaller, 0.9 megabytes, so it's a little bit smaller. And let me show you what I did before. I did a little bit more things here. Okay, let me tell you. So I switched to that branch, model switch, yeah, and I merged our master branch and yeah, version update, merge fixes, and here it started to work with 0.9 win in a bundle output. But they also in version 9.8 introduced some pure imports which allowed to reduce the output bundle even further. In fact, this reduced bundle size like twice. But let's go step by step. So here on the left, I will show how I initially did transition to that system. So practically I am importing things like that, but to have all my code base compatible, for example, to make like Babylon stuff like this work like before, so I don't need to change it. In every file, I first obviously imported things like this, and then also introduced this like variable and put all Babylon imports here. So with that approach, I don't need to really modify code. It works as before. I just need to change input signature and add this thing. Of course, I didn't do it manually. There is extension for the Visual Studio. Yeah, Visual Commander. You can actually write a script there, and it will update all this one. It will update all your files according to your script. You can actually automate some things in Visual Studio by literally writing macros and editing files in the way you want. And what I did, I practically scan file for all things in the Babylon namespace, updated it like that, and created this entry for every file. And this is after that, starting version 9.8, I finally started to benefit from transitioning to that system. Output bundle reduced by 0.9 megabyte. But also in version 8, they introduced pure imports. Actually, you know what? Before we go to pure imports, let me show one more thing. Yeah, that file quite interesting because it uses imports from two packages. How I did to keep it compatible, just like this. So Babylon, I import Babylon stuff and create sub namespace and put everything there, and my code doesn't break. So practically, yeah, I'm using new model system, but to distinguish my Babylon stuff from my own stuff, I keep Babylon prefix, and for Babylon packages, I just, yeah, manually create them. And now finally, let's go to pure imports. So what pure imports are? Pure imports are pretty much naked classes without any side effects. Some of your Babylon stuff will not work if you will not import side effects, and so you should be careful, because pure imports, they provide only class, but some functionality may not work. In order to make it work, you need to import side effects manually, and this is how it's done. So very early in my execution flow on the startup here, I just created supplemental file side effects, and let me show you what's there. So it's right here. So you pretty much import from the core these things, and you call these functions, and your side effects starts to work. So what's the bonus of this approach? What's the benefit? Is that you importing only those side effects that are actually needed for your application to function. So for many cases, for example, like regular vectors, you don't need to import the whole core module and a lot of side effects to make vectors work. So, but some features require side effects, and you import only those that are really needed for your app. You can actually even import them along the way, so you don't need to import everything on start, but I prefer to do so because practically I prefer approach when you spend a little bit more time for initial loading, but later you don't need to load anything at all. So I import all that stuff early, and yeah, and everything works fine. However, I have to say that figuring out which side effects you have to import is quite tricky. There are several helpers in Babylon that help you in a way. Some of them are more useful than others. I particularly find only this one useful because it's actually prints you which functions are being accessed and are not available in your dependencies. So it highlights some functions that are not reachable due to missing side effects. However, this function doesn't suggest you which side effect you need to import to fix it. And unfortunately, there is a lot of guesswork. So how the workflow looks like now. You develop like regularly, and you always keep this thing enabled. Once you face some warnings in the console from that thing, that means that you're missing some side effect, and you need to figure out. And yeah, it might be quite trickier, especially because some of side effects also require some arguments here. What I noticed, all side effects that ends with syn component, they actually require passing some base class for them to be initialized. Those don't. So how to guess? Well, practically, if you go here, if you go on core, I guess this is the thing. Yeah, I think if you go here, yeah, you see a lot of stuff starting with the word register. Register is pretty much indication of a method that applies side effects. And so what do? You develop normally, you see that something is getting popped into the console, and depending on that function, you are trying to figure out which side effect could potentially fix that. And from that, there is actually trial and error approach. So you may try several of them until you see that warning disappear. Well, it's not that bad. Usually you have like 3 to 5 options, unlikely more, because obviously those side effects are named after classes that using those side effects, and when you see a warning here, you can probably get the class name that requires side effects, and from that class name you can make a reasonable assumption what of those things may solve the problem. Yeah, it was a bit of trial and error thing, but yeah, I figured out, I believe, all side effects, and I apply them early, and yeah, and my output bundle size decreased dramatically. So just transition to Babylon.js ESM modules after version 9.8.0. It won me 0.9 megabyte, but transitioning to pure imports won me in total 5 megabytes in bundle size reduction, and that's already significant. And I'm really glad that I made it work, so don't really have any problems here. Everything works as intended, and I didn't need to change my code at all. I only needed to change imports and add those side effects, and it looks fine. Obviously I need a bit more testing, but yeah, like loading time reduced significantly. Unfortunately, I probably will not be able to show you that here, because this is dev version, I believe. Yeah, it's not minified. Well, actually, even here you can see that it's a bit lower compared to how it was before. Yeah, it's loading some small chunks along the way. Okay, this thing is still heavy, but again, you loading this thing only on demand. This is debug tool. It doesn't affect any performance until it's explicitly called. And now it appears without any errors. It's integrated smoothly. It can be used full potential. And again, this JS code will be loaded only when this thing is called. I can just show you. Yeah, here, well, practically nothing changed. I just imported asynchronously. So yeah, that also helps us to manage load time, because if you really need inspector, I think you're okay to wait a little bit. Yeah. Um, that's it, I guess, about it. Yeah, this commit is massive because I needed to update every file pretty much to pure imports. And for example, here, this one doesn't have pure imports, only core have. Maybe they will add this to pure someday also. Maybe already they did. But yeah, pretty much compare it to what we have before. You change imports to import from core /pure, and somewhere you need to add side effects, like here. That's all. Here is nice collapsible region in case if I will also at some point import side effects, not from Babylon.js, maybe made by myself. And this thing actually, when all development is done, that can be turned off actually, but I will keep it for now. So what we will try to do now, we will try to merge it with master. You can see here old imports. I don't expect much problem with that because I wasn't modifying them in parallel, so everything should be straightforward, I believe. Yep, so there's merge and pure imports. I think everything should be fine. I don't need to reinstall dependencies because it was installed for previous branch and now same dependencies on master. And the thing I want to do, however, is to reboot the file, yeah. Reboot the server. Yep. Yep. That's it. Alright, that's all I had. Also, I had some conversations about outline layer, and unfortunately it cannot be optimized further than it already is. They added some optimizations, but not for the mod that I use, the one that hides outline behind the obstacles. Unfortunately, we cannot win anything here, at least at current state. But the bottom line is that our performance is at the same level than it was when we used traditional outline, like mesh outline. It didn't become worse in terms of performance, but it became better in terms of quality. So pretty much we have same performance, but slightly better quality. So I guess I will keep it, but overall this outline thing still drains performance quite bad, and I think probably the better solution here will be just to maybe like create like shiny, glossy textures, so and pickable items will be like clearly distinguishable even without outline. Or maybe we can do something like, outline them when you look at them. That's also quite common approach in the games. This is something what we can investigate in the future, but for the meantime I will probably leave it alone. Alright, so what's next? I will check and maybe I will push my dependency versions even fewer. I want to test everything carefully once again, and if we are good, I think I will redeploy it. So I think it's a nice addition. We have new, more beautiful outlines, and we should have significant load time reduction, at least on lower networks, because we quite dramatically decreased the bundle size, and JS alone decreased by 50% almost in size. But if we compare to all assets that needs to be loaded, like full loading package, not just scripts but everything, we have about, I would say, 30% reduction or something like that. No, wait, we've been loading about like 20. Well, I don't know, but overall we were, I believe, downloading below 30, like 28 something, and now we deducting 5 megabytes from that. So how much percent is it? Okay, I'm lazy to compute, but it's less than 20%, but it's like 18 or something, which is actually not similar. I think it's worth trying, and the most important thing that those kind of imports are defaulting Babylon.js anyway, so we probably had to transition to that at some point, and now this chapter is finally closed. Yes, and to be honest, that's all I had for today. That's all I had for today. And for the next time, I will try to test it carefully and maybe deploy. And whatever I will discover, I will share with you on my next stream. Yes, let's stick to that plan for the meantime. And I guess I'm done for today. Quite short stream, but yeah, there was a lot of work behind the scenes that was very tedious, so I decided it will be better to show the final result. More than that, I wasn't even sure that it will work at all, but it worked great. It was a huge roadblock. Well, it wasn't like a permanent roadblock, but still it was like annoying and bothering me. And it's good that we walked over it and actually gained very decent bundle reduction, bundle size reduction, I mean. Alright, see you in 1 week. Have a nice upcoming week. See you. Bye.